right, welcome to another episode of the 28-3 podcast. This is going to be our Panthers preview episode. Corey, you got a lovely Panthers colored blue shirt on. Why don't you start us off?
Yeah, can't wait for this divisional clash of the Titans. Coming off of the loss we just had, you gotta think we can pull this one out, right?
What do you think it feels like trading the number one overall pick back for Bryce Young, in addition to the pick last year, in addition to DJ Moore?
Yeah, they're in a bad place.
Whew.
I mean, there's no look.
And fire their coach after how many games?
Well, it's the third coach they fired, in season.
Well, it's Michael Jordan, Sam Bowie.
But look,
it's that.
You want to, the obvious idea is that, okay, the 1-11 Panthers are coming in, second straight home game. We didn't get the win. We showed a lot of negative developments in the Lions game, but we also showed some positive developments with the ability to move the ball, red zone success. Now, the biggest change is that more than likely we're recording this before we know anything definitive with Derek Carr, but I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to know that he's probably not playing against the Panthers. So you're looking at Jameis, and can he move the ball consistently enough? Because the only way, we all know that the way to keep bad teams in it is by turning the ball over. So does Jameis get overzealous and throw the patented Jameis Winston INTs, or
yes,
do they keep it more close to the chest and he's playing ball control and it's more of a heavy dose of Taysom?
Well, here's a question for you, and Nick brought this up offline. Do you feel better about the fortunes of the Saints after the Lions game than you did going into the game?
No.
Okay, so do you feel the same, pretty much?
I feel the exact same.
I am with you on that. I agree 110%. I do not feel any better because the first 7 minutes was awful.
It's the first 7 minutes, but it's also that we have followed the same exact model that we followed the whole year. I mean, it pissed me off to no end after last game when Dennis Allen's like, what are we going to do? We're going to keep chopping wood and eventually we'll break through. You can't use the word eventually when you got 5 games left, dude.
Yeah.
Okay? You can't say chopping wood because you haven't chopped wood yet. You can't keep chopping wood.
Did he say chop wood?
Yeah,
we're going to chop wood.
We're going to keep chopping. That's a Kirby. He stole that from my Georgia coach, Kirby Smart.
I think someone said it before Kirby, to be fair.
No way. Not possible. But Kirby used it with a winning team.
Kirby's interview was terrible, too, after the game.
I didn't even watch. I've detached from that.
For those who don't know, Corey is a tried and true, diehard Georgia Bulldog.
He deserves to be. He graduated from Georgia.
One of those New Orleans kids that went to Georgia.
So
diehard Saints fan, but
you have to excuse him if he's a little salty.
With your mistakes. You got to stick with your mistakes.
He's a little salty after last weekend's games. So
we played like shit. The dogs did.
Yeah.
I still think Georgia's the best team in the country, though. Max does not. But that's for a different conversation. Back to this. I feel slightly better after the Lions game. I really felt that was the nail in DA's coffin coming at us that a lot of fans want. It looked like the blowout was coming, where we gave up and we did not give a shit, and the team was just going through the motions. And lo and behold, we come roaring back. And I honestly feel if Carr doesn't get injured, there's a high likelihood we win that game. It's not good enough still, but I thought this could be the season ender, the coach ender, everything everybody's been hoping for.
Did you really think they would fire him in season if they got blown out?
No, at the end of the season.
Well, hold on. Let me say this. So I experienced every range of emotion in the first quarter. So, going into the game, I'm like, man, I can never root for them to lose. I really want them to do well. This is maybe the game that we turn the corner. The offense clicks. The defense gets back to what it was in week 1 and 2. And then we get down to 21-0 deficit. And at this point, I'm pissed off. But then I'm like, you know what?
See, the worst thing.
Well, hold on. I'm like, Christmas might be coming early here. Because if this keeps going the way it's going and we get like a 56-7 loss, I'm like, DA's fucking gone like Monday morning.
I disagree with that, but he's gone at the end of the season.
Man, if that game would have gone the way it was trending in that first quarter, now granted, none of these games ever do. It's like, a team jumps out to a big lead, the other team comes back. But for a small moment, I thought this was it, and we were just going to get just run out of the building.
Yeah.
And at that point, they would have had no choice.
But they were on pace for 84 points.
Carmichael would have been, somebody would have been gone, yeah.
Like
But
160 at one point.
Yeah, I mean, look, 70 has been scored this year in the NFL, so maybe I was honestly thinking, looking at the scores.
Sean Payton, that's a Sean Payton reference.
After the girls told Santa what they wanted for Christmas, I was thinking, like, I wonder if okay, Ben Johnson's thinking, all right, so McDaniel put 70 up in Denver, maybe I got to top him. I wonder if that's going through his head right now because 21 points in the first quarter, you got to be. That shit's going through your mind as an aggressive offensive coordinator. But the reason I feel the exact same is, like I said, it's the same model. Like we play shitty against shitty teams, and then when a decent team walks into the building, like the Jaguars game is one example I'll use, we decide that we're going to take a while to kind of get there, but at the end of the day, we're going to play up to our opponent and then make it interesting. We've done that against the good teams this year. The bad games have come against, the Bucks, not necessarily a good team, played down to them, got our asses handed to us. Now, we have the exceptions of beating the crap out of the Patriots, Indy, but by and large, we followed the same model of like having a good spurt where you can point to one part of a game and say, if we could just do that the whole game, or if we could just do this the whole game. This followed the same exact model. And so nothing has changed. It's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. That's the whole game. That's the whole year. And again, goes back to coaching. They don't have these guys playing consistently.
And let me say this. I'll answer my question. I don't feel any better because as you just laid it out, it's a coaching issue. Mm-hmm. We play up to the competition. We play down to the competition. And it's just the fact that we were able to come storming back. Mm-hmm. And as Nick has said, we looked like we were going to win that game. The fact that we could do that against, the second or third best team in the NFC shows that we can play with just about any team. We can't play with the 49ers. Like the 49ers, when everybody's healthy, that's the best team in the NFL, and it's not even close.
They just beat the shit out of the Eagles. It wasn't close.
They kicked the shit out of the Cowboys week before when the Cowboys were looking dominant. So
they play again this week. That's actually a good game.
The Eagles and the Cowboys, yeah. So to me, the 49ers are the clear-cut best team in the NFL when everybody's healthy. Yeah. They're winning the Super Bowl. Nobody's beating them.
The only games they lost were without Debo, McCaffrey nicked up, Trent Williams nicked up.
Yeah.
That's the only games they've lost.
Yeah.
They are... If they don't win the Super Bowl, it's because of injury or some fluke.
Yeah.
But
we're
talking about the rest of the NFL right now.
Exactly. So my point is the Saints proved that they can hang because, we talked about this. To us, it's the 49ers are in their own category. Then there's a second tier, and that tier is probably like the Eagles, the Lions,
Chiefs.
The Cowboys, the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Dolphins, teams like that. We can hang with that tier. And that's what pisses me off even more is they showed us. They could come roaring back against a dominant offense. Yeah. And we slowed down this offense.
Keep up with it, yeah.
And we kept up with them.
Yeah. And
that to me points to coaching because there's no consistency at all from week to week. And you perfectly laid it out.
Yeah.
That's how it's been the whole season. So to answer the question, I don't feel any better because it just reinforces what I already thought or what I already knew.
Yeah. And also, too, like I said, we said in the Vikings game, we came back. The people that were like, oh, well, look at the offense, maybe look at Jameis. People said, look at the defense being able to stop Minnesota. Well, Minnesota, that game, they were up by so much more later in the game that the offense wasn't trying to be exotic. They were parking the car. They were trying to run the clock out. There got a point in this game where the Lions actually had to keep going, right. and our defense showed the ability.
Lions did not park the car.
They didn't park the car. That's what I'm saying. So, I was encouraged.
They did for, the second part of the first quarter and into the second quarter. Because I looked at the house and I'm like, did Ben Johnson go take a shit or something? And then he came back and he's like, what the fuck?
He could have. He could have taken a shit. He could have gone to the convenience store, gotten
to be fair, they were averaging
soda.
10 yards a carry, and he tried to keep running the ball. And we woke up for a minute.
He took his foot off the gas.
But my point is,
I don't know, dude.
No. It's to your point though. They took their foot off the gas when they thought they should when they were up by 3 touchdowns in the first quarter. But then as we made it closer and showed that wait, this isn't just like a fluke 2 touchdowns. We're making a game of it. They realized, okay, now we have to start stepping on it, and we still kind of managed to get stops.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm gonna give Nick. Let me give you this analogy because we were just talking about this the other day when Michigan was playing Iowa in the conference championship the other day, and it's like we knew that once Michigan got that 3-0 lead, that was the end of the game, and that they could basically just put it in cruise control.
Yeah,
I'm thinking the Lions literally they were up 21-0. They're like, all right, cool. We can just kind of lay back a little bit. We'll run the ball. We'll establish the run. They're going to fuck up on their own, and we didn't. We came to life.
Maybe for a drive. I agree with you until we got a 21-7.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it was 21-7, they were throwing the ball, dude. We were stopping them. Our pass defense was not terrible.
Yeah.
It was good.
So
the problem,
And Goff also missed. Goff missed a few.
okay, so let's take everything we're saying about what we did against the Lions. Okay,
Debo missed an easy pick also.
transfer it to
right in his hands.
Do we think the model's going to hold against the Panthers? Are we going to play down to them, or do we think this is maybe a week where we beat a bad team badly?
Well, I think we need to talk about the quarterback situation first.
Well, that's part of it. Yeah. What do y'all think?
Yeah, we're not going to know. It's it's going to be a Saturday
right.
deal before
Especially
we
at
know.
home.
Maybe even
we're not
Sunday.
going to know till Saturday or the morning of because we're at home and he's here and he doesn't have to travel.
So y'all think it's at this point?
I think it's going to be Jameis.
But do you think it's only the concussion holding Carr out, or do we think
Yes.
his
Dude,
other
two
injuries?
concussions in a month?
No. But I mean, like, do we?
Well, but here's what you have to
I
look
mean,
at.
the other injuries.
No, I
they
don't,
reported-
because here's what you got to look at. The reality is, in the NFL this year, for some reason, they've got a lot
taking
more
longer.
serious
But
about the
Olave was
concussion
back. We were
protocol.
all shocked by that.
Olave, I think, is like one of two players who have made it back in 1 week. The rest of the NFL,
But Carr did the first time too. He didn't miss a week.
He didn't have a concussion though.
I thought this was his second concussion in a month. You just said that.
Oh yeah, it's a win.
No, it was a bye week.
it was a bye week. That's why.
If we played on the bye, he
it was
wouldn't
a
have
bye
played.
week. That's why.
What game was that?
It was the Minnesota game.
The bye was before
He got one in
Atlanta.
Minnesota game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So he had the bye week to.
So the Green Bay game was not a concussion.
no,
Right.
That was the shoulder.
That was the shoulder.
yeah.
Okay.
That was the one that looked like a concussion, but then they came out and said it was a shoulder injury.
Is that because his eyes looked like he was in space?
Yeah.
Shoulder injury.
But back to my point, it's that the NFL
There's
has
a
been
lot that doesn't get
lot.
reported.
The NFL has been a lot stricter with the concussion protocol this year.
Yeah.
So when you have two in a matter of 4 weeks,
I
I don't
agree.
see any which way he plays this week.
I agree with that.
Yeah, he should not. I don't think he should. I don't think it's
So
safe.
for purposes of the episode,
think
let's
it's
go
Jameis,
ahead
yeah.
and go with the assumption that Jameis is going to be
But
the
let me say
starting
this.
quarterback.
If he wants to be a starter in the NFL,
he needs to play
should probably
concussed.
play. He needs to play.
But he's not going to get cleared. It's not up to him.
I know that, and it's a joke.
And no offense, he's not good enough for
I
the.
don't want anyone to risk their health for the NFL. I'm just saying.
I do. I want Breeze to come back right now with one arm.
If he wants to,
I'll take a lefty Breeze at this point.
Yeah.
if he wants to save his career, this is a season-ending game.
It's the Wally Pipp, baby.
If we lose, the season's over. Period. It's another division loss.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
It's at home.
Yeah.
It's against the worst team in the NFL. It's a season-ending game.
Well, you say that, and the Bucks will probably beat the Falcons.
And I still think it's a season-ending game because we could still beat the Falcons and not win the division. So, and if the Falcons
Depending
win,
on what they do.
if the Falcons win, it's for almost certainly for.
If the Falcons win and we lose, it's done.
If we lose, we're still a game and a half back. We can beat them, and they can still beat us. They beat us in a tiebreaker situation because of division record. So, for me, you can't lose to the worst team. And I looked. So we talked about Atlanta's schedule. Their schedule, in my opinion, from today on, is harder. They've got the Colts left. They have the Bucks, us, just like
we have the
do.
Rams, so I think that one's
6 and
comparable to
6.
the Colts.
It probably is.
Yeah, the Rams are looking so much better.
But we have
than
the
they were.
Giants and Carolina. Okay? That's 2 of the top 5 picks in the draft next year. So these 2 games, for me, if you don't win these 2 games,
You
it's
don't
over.
believe in Tommy DeVito?
I don't. It's
Yeah.
It's been good.
DeVito,
I give him credit. It was really bad, then it was good. But the first game was one of the worst games I've ever seen.
That's the one he came off the bench, though, right?
No. His first start was terrible. The next one was awesome, and then the next one was really good too.
He's been good the last couple weeks.
Yeah, for sure. He's been way better than expected. But they're not a good team. And you're at home. So if we're going to save this crappy season, you have to win these 2. There's no scenario, in my opinion, where you lose to the Giants and we win the division. That's what I'm saying.
Or lose to the Panthers.
Or lose to the Panthers.
Yeah.
These 2, if you're going to win the division, if that's what we're going to do, these 2 are no fucking excuses. You have to beat these 2 terrible teams.
Yeah, and I'm going to take it back to what I said going into the Falcons game. Actually, I said it before that. I said we needed to be, 6-4 going into the Falcons game. This was weeks. This is 6 or 7 weeks ago.
Yeah. If we did, we could have really put a nail in the coffin.
Yeah. And
If we beat the Falcons, I think it was over. I really do.
well, but the thing was, my point was, we had to win all the games going into the bye week. We ended up losing in Minnesota going into the bye week, and that was my. I said if we don't have the winning streak going into Atlanta, I don't believe in this at all.
Yeah.
And so now, given that we're still alive, amazingly, we're like a serial killer in an 80s horror movie who's had his head cut off and his arms cut off and been set on fire and fucking still alive.
That's aggressive.
No, I mean, we're somehow still alive, no matter all the bad shit we've done.
We are very alive.
But like the serial killer actually killed people. I don't know if this team is killing anybody.
No.
There's a different. We'll go with it. I'm just trying to think of something worse. But anyway.
Anyway, so we're still alive is the point.
Yeah.
And, we're on life support. And if we don't win this weekend and the following weekend,
it's over.
It's over.
We're like the knight from Monty Python. We're like, it's merely a flesh wound.
No, I am going to say this. We'll still probably be in it, even if we lose these two. Somehow, something will happen, like the Falcons will lose the rest of their games going into our game.
Yeah.
Because that's the NFC South. That's how it's going to go. It'll get flexed. It'll be two teams with a losing record playing for the title on Sunday Night Football in the last game of the season.
Yeah.
Somehow or another, it's destined to happen.
Max has been calling it all year, and I'm leaning more and more towards that being the scenario.
Yeah.
It's if we win the Tampa game, it's for sure going to be the Atlanta game that decides the whole thing.
It's getting flexed to Sunday Night Football because it's going to be the only division that's still in play. It's going to get flexed, and it's going to be for all the marbles in the Superdome.
And that would be great.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to see that not being the case when you look at our schedule, their schedule.
Well, they still need to slip up one, I think.
They get Justin Fields, too, in the Bears game. Way different than what we got.
Yeah, because we had...
we got Badgett.
But I think they're similar to us. I mean, if you looked at all the... because the Falcons' Twitter kind of came more into the fold during the week that we played them. They're feeling very much similar to the way we're feeling.
They should. They were terrible this weekend. Luckily, they got freaking Trevor Siemian resurfacing.
Yeah,
and
they're inconsistent as shit too.
Yeah,
they're very liable to just have a.
Well, they somehow have a worse quarterback than we do.
Right, they're
like
just
Ritter is awful.
They're just as liable to have a what the hell was that game?
He was like 43% completion or something.
He's fucking terrible. Like Ritter makes Carr look like prime Tom Brady.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean. It's either going to be that.
That being said, though, the Falcons have a better team than us.
Overall?
They're definitely younger. Their defense is better.
They're better.
I hate to say it, their defense is better. After this week,
they can run the ball. They have an identity. That thing that Alvin Kamara says we don't have and Dennis Allen claims that we have, that's what the Falcons have. They have a fucking identity. They run the ball every week.
Did they run it this week? I didn't see. It didn't look, that game was so
Well, the Jets have a
decent
run defense, but yeah,
the Jets have they have a really good defense. So.
No, I think
it helps when teams are just trying to sulk away a win 7-0 because your offense can't score a point.
Yeah. I mean, this week to me is telling because it's an opportunity for the Saints to say
34 for 90 this week for Atlanta.
Okay. Well, that's lower than what they usually do, and probably chalked it up to the Jets, the fact they were playing in New York. But
Ritter 12 for 27.
Hey, and they won.
Yeah.
They won.
But here's the thing with the Panthers game. Yeah, we're playing a horrible team, so it gives the team an opportunity to say, who are we going to be for the last games of the year? Are we going to be the same team that's up and down? Are we going to let Carolina stay in it? Maybe make them think they have a chance to win it at the end.
What are the keys to it? Why don't you go there? Like, what do you think? So we're assuming Jameis, right?
I'll just finish the thought first. It's that how we play against this team will be telling in terms of how the rest of the season plays out. If we can go ahead and squash them and beat them badly, like we played against Indy, played against the Patriots,
how would you feel?
That would feel better about their prospects facing the Giants the next week and saying, all right, we can beat the bad teams and get in a position to where the Atlanta game is the one for all the marbles. But if they play one of these close games and let Carolina hang around, I don't feel good going into the Giants. I don't feel good about how we play the rest of the year.
Even if that's Jameis, you feel kind of the same way? Like,
yeah, I mean,
it's going to be hard for me to judge us on offense with Jameis.
Jameis is more, I think he's more unpredictable than Carr, 100%. But if he can show that he can run the offense and manage the offense and run the offense to the position to a place where we're in a position to win, then that's encouraging.
This is a perfect game for Carr's mediocrity, and we're getting the guy who can literally lose the game by himself.
Mm-hmm. Agree. Now, well, hold on. Let me go.
That's troubling.
Let me say this though.
Yeah. I mean, keys, turnovers.
So let's go back to week 2 when we played Carolina in Carolina. Now, also bear in mind that we had lost 2 straight in Carolina. Mm-hmm. Conveniently enough, both in week 2. We always go there in week 2.
This was when our offensive line was horrible.
Well, it hasn't been great since, but
It's definitely improved since then.
Let's go ahead and say so. The score was 20-17.
Right.
We watched it at your house.
Yep.
It was a close game,
Let 'em
pretty
come
much
back.
the entire game.
For sure.
Carr, 228, 1 interception. Bryce Young, 153, 1 touchdown. Taysom was the leading rusher, 9 for 75. Remember, he popped off a longer run.
Yep.
Yeah.
Miles Sanders, 14 for 43. Olave, 6 for 86, had that fantastic diving catch at some point. We were freaking out.
Catch of the year.
Yeah. Thielen,
Can't
7
have
for
it.
54, 1 touchdown. Even game for the most part.
It started
Hey,
out.
look, it was.
It started out very much. I remember it started out in our favor. We thought, okay, here it comes. We're
We were kind of pushing them around. Then they got that one touchdown
we
drive.
got up.
That
Didn't we get
changed
up
it.
right before their last touch? Their last touchdown was pretty late in the
Well,
game.
I am going to say we did manage to rush for 134 yards, which
Yeah.
is probably our season high. I don't have that stat in front of me, though. Tony Jones Jr., who was on the roster
That's
for
not our season high. That's
for
false.
2 weeks. For rushing, it's not?
No, 134. No.
Patriots or Indy?
Probably the Patriots,
Indy.
yeah. Tony Jones Jr. had the 12 for 34 and 2 touchdowns. So, yeah, I mean, look, it was a tight game. Now, our offensive line was in shambles at that point. Penning was still starting.
Yeah.
Our defense, on the other hand, was still a top
Stopping people.
5 defense.
Right.
So,
Patriots
Well,
136.
here we go back to my point from last week. Okay. The reason the defense even had a chance of getting all the stops they did was because, Goff couldn't get outside the pocket to get those annoying pesky
Goff's a statue.
third
Yeah.
downs. So, if it's a game where our offense isn't going up by more than one score and it's on the defense to get the stops, if Bryce decides that he's going to have a decent game and make decent decisions, and if they allow him to throw the ball down the field, if they get to a place where they need 3 yards on a third down, we're not running with him to the edge. We don't have that guy. Maybe
Indy 161.
okay, so Indy. So the other two were right next to each other, 136 and 134. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, it just
I agree.
we're not going to be able to if Bryce decides I'm just going to run all over this team.
That's not his game. He's not.
It's not his game, but if
He is a mobile quarterback, though.
He's
Right.
a mobile college quarterback. He's a serviceable mobile NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
He's not a threat. He's a
I mean, we made Baker look like Lamar
correct.
Jackson. so-
And I would put him in that category, except he's much younger and much more fit.
I mean, he's not blazing fast like
He doesn't want to do
the
it.
Lamars of the world.
No, he doesn't want to do it.
But that would be their way to stop us, is to like convince us for most of the game or a lot of the game that, all right, what y'all just said is the case. They're going to just do drop back football. He's only going to run if he has to. But if they let us get comfortable and give him some running lanes, he could take advantage of it. That would be one way for them to keep the game close against us. And I don't have confidence in our defense from being able to run with them. Now, how do you all feel about their running attack? I mean, do we think maybe this is a week where we get a little bit of a break
I
from
do
their running game?
because they're not great.
Yeah.
And we thought they
Wait,
would.
come on. You're talking about our running game or
No,
their
no,
running game?
Where
Theirs.
our defense gets a break from facing a strong
I mean,
rushing
they rushed for
attack.
133 last week, 94 the week before. That's what I'm looking at
It's
right
not
now.
great. It's not great. It's average. We're average. We're below average.
We're below
Let's be
average,
honest.
let's be honest.
But they are not great at it like they have been in the past, since we faced them in the past decade. The Cam Newton years, all that, the Christian McCaffrey, even Chuba against us has performed well.
Who's
And
that big ass
Jonathan
35?
Stewart? Jonathan
Stewart.
Stewart,
You're
Tolbert,
digging
Mike
deep.
Tolbert,
Yeah.
Mike
there you go.
Tolbert, and D'Angelo Williams. They've always been able to run the ball.
Seemed like
against
they
us.
could always get what they wanted against us.
Yeah, and keep a game close. This isn't as good as they've been in the past.
Oh, they're the worst team in the league. No, it's not as good.
Right. And Bryce is a huge disappointment. I don't care what you can spin it however you want. We talked about this on the pod with Roman. I was in the corner of like, I don't know that this guy is an elite guy. He's getting blown away by Stroud in year one. There's no doubt.
To be fair, Stroud is blowing away literally
It's
every
incredible.
rookie performance.
But I mean,
I agree.
It looks like
But it looks like they completely botched this thing right now,
malpractice
right?
to-
You traded to go get. You had the choice. You chose wrong. Not that he won't have a good career. Just you traded all this capital, 2 firsts, DJ Moore, plus
it's a fuck up. It's a huge fuck up.
and
at
you
this point.
passed on Stroud, and you got Young. You were so confident. You were wrong in your guy, and you gave up a lot to get him, and he might not be a guy. He
Right.
might be that middle tier purgatory QB. that we worried about because he's so slight in frame and short and has to find passing windows through his own offensive line.
I still think he pans out, but you obviously fucked up by not taking Stroud at this point.
Well, after trading all those picks.
Up,
and now
look, hindsight's obviously 20/20 because no one at this table thought that Stroud was going to be what he is.
I agree with that, but that's why you don't trade up.
Is this where I insert my Caden Ellis comment?
Yeah. Well, none of us had done
I'm
the
the
film
first to
study.
say I did not see Stroud coming out and having this season. I'll be happy to say
the only game I watched every play of his was
But-
the playoff game when Ohio State played Georgia, and he was like damn good.
He lit it the fuck up.
And against the best defense in the country. I mean, our defense that year was
they were really good,
fucking awesome.
But would you have?
I wasn't going to say
me not being a Stroud advocate. It doesn't mean I wouldn't have picked him at Houston's position. I would have.
Oh, at 2, I would have absolutely picked him.
Absolutely, I'd have picked him at 1 if you need a quarterback. I'm not saying I'd have picked him over Young. I'm not getting in that. I'm just saying I was not down on Stroud.
But at 2, I was taking whichever one was there.
You have to take one and try.
Yeah, you have to.
And they didn't trade up for that.
Right.
They sat still.
Well, here's the other thing to remember.
They got Will Anderson, which...
Well, no, hold on. The last game of the season, they won on a Hail Mary, which took them from the number 1 pick to the number 2 pick, which indirectly saved their asses.
that was a...
Just think if they took Corey's boy instead of Will Anderson this year.
Jalen?
He went to the Eagles.
Yeah.
Will Anderson's awesome.
He's good.
Will Anderson's damn good.
Jalen
Carter is better.
Potentially generational.
Carter is a $100 million player, hands down tomorrow. He has been everything he was projected before the drama. Mm-hmm. He has been it. He was better than Will Anderson so far.
Yeah. If the Eagles...
I still, look, they didn't go wrong on getting Will Anderson. I'm going to tell you that right now.
We'll see.
And nobody could have taken Jalen Carter at pick number 3.
Well, he was projected number 1. So
No, I mean after the off-the-field shit popped up. You couldn't take him at pick number 3.
You kind of have to phrase it this way where...
Big stones.
That being said, though, give me Will Anderson, right? There's nothing wrong with Will Anderson.
If you have to frame it where it's like an alternate universe, and the Eagles ended up with the 1 pick, and Carolina was 2, and Houston was 3, and if the Eagles ended up having taken Jalen Carter, you seeing what he's doing now with the same team, you would say, okay, that was worth the number 1 pick based on what he's doing this year. Obviously, the reality of it was he was not everything with his background going into the draft. That wasn't going to happen.
And that's one of those things.
That's a little bit. We're off topic a little bit, but
that's okay.
No, that's fine.
Relevant.
We can get there.
It's absolutely relevant. And
my point is, you can't sit here and say, Jalen Carter's definitively better.
I'm not saying Will Anderson's a miss. I'm saying
awesome.
Jalen Carter looks like a generational player.
Yeah. Yeah, he looks
great.
He's a defensive tackle. I think top 5 in the league in pressures.
Yeah, he looks better than any defensive guy.
He looks Aaron Donald-y. Young Aaron Donald is what he looks like.
I'm not going there. He's not young. He's not Aaron Donald.
Much larger than Aaron Donald.
Yeah, but he's also not Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald is the best defensive player. I mean, come on.
You put an adjective before an Aaron Donald. You said Donald, or you said Donald Z-esque.
Esque.
But,
let's let him play more than 10 games before we call him.
I agree.
Yeah, he's not Aaron Donald.
You would agree he was the best player in the draft before the drama. Just imagine if they would have done that instead, how crazy of a draft that would have been. To get a franchise quarterback and maybe the best defensive tackle in the draft since Aaron Donald. Let's not call him Aaron Donald. Let's say since Aaron Donald. Will Anderson looks like a very good player. There are many defensive ends that look better than this would have been.
Will Anderson to me looks like a future perennial All-Pro. He's got 5 sacks right now. Donald has 4. I just looked it up, but I know Donald's got the pressure. Not Donald, Carter.
And one's a tackle, one's an end.
Aaron Donald.
One's an end.
Was that a Freudian slip?
He's not Aaron Donald. Corey, I know you love Georgia, but he's not Aaron Donald.
Jalen Carter is killing people. I'm just saying, and I'm not. This is not a knock on Will Anderson at all.
Yeah, but also look at the talent on that Eagles defense. They were the best team in the regular season last year. Their defense is basically the Georgia Bulldogs from 2019, 2020. They're fucking loaded. Like, that defense has more talent on it than anybody.
Are you stroking Corey's ego?
Georgia Delphia.
I kind of am stroking Corey's ego.
Georgia Delphia Bull Eagles.
No, they seriously are.
I love them, and guess what? It sucks because you're not going to win shit. That's what sucks.
They're not going to. It's funny.
Because it's all going to blow up in about a year or two with Jalen's contract and
yeah, they can't keep all those guys.
Just with the Niners, and then it's a shame.
The Niners have cap space.
Yeah.
That's fucking hilarious.
But their quarterback makes $8 a year, I think. It's amazing.
For one more year.
He still has
Two more.
He
They
still
don't
has
have to pay him till the year 4.
Brock Purdy still has a roommate.
What I'm saying is
They will.
the money's not going to hit.
He actually does.
The money's not going to hit till year 5 is what I'm saying.
DeVito lives with his mom.
Yeah, he's smart.
He's a good Italian man. Come on.
Good cook. You don't.
They're gonna pay him.
They will, but the money won't hit till year 5. Correct.
No, he was the last pick in the draft. So
he's a 4-year though. He's a 4-year.
I know, but you can renegotiate going into year.
Well, the
4.
way for him to get paid
but
sooner.
what I'm
is
saying
to
is they're
hold
still
out.
going to keep that low cap number in year 1, which is year 4.
Yeah.
So
No,
it'll
their
be,
window's open.
Right.
Their
The window
window's
is the
open.
next 2 years after this.
Yeah,
for
their window's
sure.
firmly open. If they don't get 2 titles out of this, and we're way the fuck off track.
Yeah, I was about to
But
say.
if they don't get 2 titles out of this, they did something wrong.
We're not off track because this is what we fucking need to do. We need to invest in the draft. We need to draft correctly. And
Well,
rebuild
come
this
on,
team.
you're preaching to the choir. I've been saying this for years. Like, I want to load up on as many draft picks as
The
possible.
negligence in the draft with the trading of picks is coming back to bite us right now.
So when
this
you
is what we need to learn. Compile picks. Eagles, 49ers, pick a lot of players.
Well, there's a lot.
Well, the Patriots did it back in the day. They always would trade, the late first for next year's first and like another
True,
second
but
or
they
a
had
third.
Brady, and it hasn't worked since then.
I don't know.
No, but it worked then. So
Well, here's the problem with our team, and when you start from the top, it's Loomis, and we've never seen a situation where the Loomis ego doesn't come to full blown forefront. He constantly believes that we're in a window, or we can.
yeah,
push-
we're not in a window.
We can
the
kick
window,
the can,
the window's slammed shut.
But he believes that he can win with
Yeah,
whatever.
he's
it
an
is.
asshole.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So until he proves
He's
that
not going to. We need him to step down.
Right.
Is
But
the
that's
only
what I'm
thing.
saying.
Because
Like-
they will never fire him.
But that's why I'm saying that Nick's strategy, while a good one, is I don't ever see that happening.
It's
with
not
I
gonna
agree
happen.
with you.
It's
I agree.
not gonna
This
happen.
is why I'm always said Loomis
So-
is the largest problem of the
Yeah.
organization because our egos got big with Sean and Mickey. They did.
Oh yeah, I agree.
This is why
They should've.
This is why we didn't win a second title. I firmly believe this. Our egos got wild. We went right.
There's also a little thing called the no call.
That one hurt, but that was after a long period of mediocrity.
Yeah.
But on a letdown mediocrity of 5 years, that was not good. That was a bad
there was
5 years.
There was a period where we didn't go after any big names on defense.
Correct.
We didn't get the splash player on defense. We didn't get the guy.
We weren't
We didn't get the
drafting well.
Oh, we were
Demario.
going after him. we were signing him every year.
Well,
That's why people were
Jerry's
freaking out.
We signed poorly. We
The
chose
draft
poorly.
We
was terrible.
chose poorly, but we were throwing out giant contracts. Jarris Bird being the prime one.
But what other than that?
Dude, they were going to go.
Browner?
Who was the corner for?
Yeah, Browner.
No, Josh Norman. They were gonna. They
were,
moved
but they
all the
didn't
shit
get him.
around. They were
didn't
gonna.
get him.
I know, but my point is, the cap was. They were ready to roll to give that dude a contract.
And that would have been. That might have changed the situation.
Who else did we try to get? We tried to get Ndamukong Suh one year. They were ready to pay
did.
his ass. They were ready to pay
Jadeveon
Jadeveon Clowney one
Everyone
year.
said we.
Well, then we had the terrible defensive coordinator hires.
Clowney,
along the way.
I understand you, but money
Yeah.
was never the issue. That's why the cap people were freaking the fuck out because every year the Saints did some
I'm not
move.
saying money was ever the issue. It's just that there was clearly more.
The
of a
decisions
focus
were the issue.
Right.
And
But that's what
Right,
polish.
but the money, they were throwing the money.
The
out.
decisions
that's
were
what
so
we're
much
talking
more
about the
polished
GM.
on the offense than defense. It was like the defense was an afterthought because the ego of the front office was like, well, if we have the all-world best offense that the league's ever seen and Drew Brees, then
Actually, I'm going to say the offense
can-
was the afterthought because
was terrible.
Peyton got away with fucking nothing but undrafted receivers.
And why? Why did we're back to this topic again? The only reason that works is Drew Brees.
Exactly, which circles
Yeah.
back to why Colson is not a top 10 Saint ever. Because
We'll leave that alone. We don't want to go to that rabbit
The
hole.
reality is we did not go sign one
neglected-
high-end offensive player.
We neglected offense.
We neglected the offense
except
in
for
free
the
agency.
Reggie Bush draft. We neglected and Meacham in the first round, which didn't work out great. He
Yeah.
was
'Cause
he
we-
was a great piece. He was never a first round talent.
we just wasted our money on
Point
the
is,
bad
we
bad defense guys.
neglected the offense for the entirety of the Sean Payton run with only a few exceptions.
The one thing I'll say about the Loomis area that you can say was a strategy, I don't know if it was, they always invested in offensive line and thought if we keep Drew Brees standing,
Yep.
he's going to kill everyone. And he did.
And look, it was a good philosophy.
He did.
Yeah.
So, but we never gave him a weapon of any merit that was scary. Even Mike Thomas in his prime was not scary. He was going to beat you to death 12, 15 yards at a time, and he was a great player. There was no Julio, Tyreek.
Yeah, never.
There was never that guy in the Saints where we said, we're going to go get Drew a guy when he's in trouble. He's just going to say, fuck it, and I'm going to throw it.
Yeah.
a Calvin Johnson, that type of play. We never
the fastest
had that
receiver he ever had, arguably, was Ted Ginn.
And Devery was very fast, but neither of them could catch.
He was a first-round bust that played like 15 years. It's amazing.
Because he could return kicks forever, and he was fast as shit.
Yeah.
He did take the top off of defense. He was great for Breeze.
Well, you know who was a scary receiver? Joe Horn in his prime.
Horn was.
Not Colston.
But
not
not
Mike
with Breeze.
Thomas.
But not with Breeze.
No, I know. He only played the 1 year.
Horn was great. I don't know if he was
He was a speed demon, though.
Corey, he put up
was a speed demon.
1,400 yards every freaking year for that 3 or 4 year stretch, man. He was incredible.
We're
way the fuck off topic here.
This is Saints related. Joe
Well,
Horn,
at least we've gotten away from the Eagles and Georgia.
Yeah, it has
Joe
nothing
Horn
to do
wasting
with
4 years
the
in
Panthers
Kansas
game,
City is what hurt Joe Horn. If someone would have figured him out a little sooner, he would have been a Hall of Fame caliber player. He's not, because to Corey's point, he had 5 years with us that were really good, and that was it.
They were amazing, though.
Kind of like Mike Thomas, 4 good years and 4 terrible years.
One particularly great year with an NFL record, all-time record.
It's funny.
He had 3 really good years and 1 all-time year.
His rookie year was great for a rookie.
1,000
Great,
yards.
all-time great.
Yeah.
So the funny thing, I sent Max this stat. You'll love this, Corey. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. It was Mike Thomas over the last 4 years.
Oh, God.
Stat line. If you add them all together, let's see if I can find it. I went and dug deep on this because I'm like,
So one of those pro football reference.
We were just texting kind of back and forth. Is it? Do you give him the NFL minimum next year? Do you just let him walk? He threw Carr under the bus this week. By all accounts,
I think you let him walk before you.
You can't, though, because of the contract.
Yeah. But
you almost need to bring him back because it's a cheaper cap figure.
You remember when he was fine throwing Breeze under the bus, right? I thought we structured
it so we had an out.
You don't remember when he was talking shit about Breeze's arm and all that on Twitter? Like, this is just what he does.
He's also the same guy that said "Thank you, Jesus" when we signed Carr.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, he was hounding.
But real quick,
it was insane.
Listen, Corey,
he's a diva.
Michael Thomas's last 4 years.
Okay.
95, 1,057, 4 TDs. That's an average season, right?
Yeah.
That's an average season.
I mean, it's a good. Well, 95 catches is good.
That's really good.
That's a season worth in 4 years.
1,057's average. 95's really good.
Yeah. But that's a season worth of stats in 4 years.
4 years. It's time for us just to. And I hope he goes somewhere and he has a resurgence and doesn't. But he's 30.
He's 30.
I'm ready. Like, let's just.
We tried it. Look, we tried it out. We brought him back.
And I wanted to.
We thought.
Here's what's going to
But now he's throwing bricks through people's cars and he's dogging everybody.
It's a liability.
It's just
look, here's what's going to happen. So the way his contract was, remember last year, they redid his contract
to where
before free agency, and they just gave him this sky-high cap figure, and everyone's like, okay, he's absolutely getting cut at this point. He's getting released on the first day of the year.
Yeah.
But then they restructured.
And then they went back, and he did another restructure. And then, so basically this year is the same setup where he's going to be effectively a free agent, but the cap hits are going to be pretty big to where it's going to behoove the Saints to say, come back for 1 more year. We'll go ahead and, move this around a little bit.
For what? So what do you think needs to happen? Like, what's that number? What do you think? So what's the dead money if we let him go this year?
It's honestly, it's way more complicated than being able to look at this and just say it's going to be X amount because of the way it's structured.
Make a close guess, just as best you can.
It's cut pre-June 1st in 2024, 18 mil in dead money, cap savings of 8 mil, so 10, a net of 10 dead. Post, he would have to be a post June 1st, but you're still looking at 8 million in dead money.
8 million gone. Sorry.
But then you also got the dead money on the following year and the following year and the following year.
But that's
so there's a way that they can structure it again to where maybe you.
But dude, unless it's the minimum and him,
which it might be, maybe it is because he's still going to get.
I'm good with that. But this is for the people who say the cap doesn't matter. This is when it matters. In this type of situation, it
matters when you get to when someone falls off a cliff via injury.
Correct.
And
exactly. This is where it matters.
The unforeseen. Yeah.
And we're dealing with the Carr contract and the Thomas contract, and honestly, we're still dealing with the Kamara contract. Those are 3 rough.
We're not even dealing with that one yet, dude. That one
terrible.
gets brutal.
That is it. And look, we all love him.
Wrong, but we're gonna have to deal with the Cam contract too, right?
No, the Cam one's
not
as
that
bad.
bad.
It's not that bad.
Okay.
The restructure was
the Kamara one is
terrible.
God awful.
Yeah. And so back to that, I've gone back and forth with Max. I love Alvin Kamara. I wish he would retire a Saint and go into the Hall of Fame. I believe he is a Hall of Famer. And
I do too.
His stats.
He did a deep dive on this. Listen to this. This is good.
So I went down a rabbit hole because we've talked about it a little bit. Is he, by the current NFL Hall of Fame running back standard, a Hall of Famer? No. Okay.
But the ones that are already in there, yeah.
When you look
over the entirety of the history of it, yeah.
Right. Is he a Hall of Famer compared to those guys? He is not. When you start to look at his era and you start to look at the last decade,
his contemporaries, counterparts,
it gets really interesting because you've got Derrick Henry by himself, in my opinion, who is in. Then you've got CMC. Then you got Alvin.
Yeah, well, because Alvin and CMC...
he's dead even with CMC,
it's close.
except for this year. Because
CMC's taking a lead. CMC scoring more.
But going into the season, they had pretty much...
Going into the season, it was identical.
Yeah. Alvin was a little bit ahead in the stats that I think matter, touchdowns, slightly ahead. But CMC's in a great situation. Alvin's not.
If he plays 3 more years in San Francisco, he's going to leave everybody in the dust.
Yeah. And he's a first ballot Hall of
Famer.
Famer.
But you bring up a good point because you look across the league over the past 10 years, and it's like, what...
Well, no, hold on. Let him finish this thought. This is good.
So I went down the path and like, where does he stack in the era, not versus history? Because the game's changed. The Hall of Fame is going to, at some point, have to pivot, right? And kind of what I came up with, hold on, let me see if I can pull up kind of the numbers here.
Just look in our text thread. You'll see it.
Yeah. So this is what I was looking at. So, where are we at? Sorry, I just lost it. In the conversation, we'll start there. In the conversation, in the past decade of drafts, right, where the running backs today are playing, your favorite guy, Nick Chubb, in a really tough spot right now, was on a really good start to be a Hall of Famer, and you have an injury that we don't know what happens, right?
Yeah.
So... Then you go to Joe Mixon, right? Pretty good player, Hall of Famer.
Fits your more traditional role, but
would anyone say truly a Hall of Famer?
Not a Hall of Famer. No.
Probably not, right? So I get to Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook
had a stretch.
Great player. Look what's this year.
Yeah,
he's done. Right? He's not getting the run that Alvin's getting. And they were the same draft, I believe. Is that correct, Max? Same draft,
yes,
2017.
McCaffrey, Alvin, Dalvin, all same draft.
So I go AK should be, right? Because the only active backs ahead of him in rushing yards only. This is strictly rushing yards from the last decade. Travis Henry, Ezekiel Elliott. He's barely playing, right?
He's
correct.
He's
the secondary back in New England.
Complete shell of himself.
Right? Latavius Murray is next on that list, which is insane.
And he's
the oldest running back in the league.
He's still getting yards this year. They're not a lot, but he's, going to end up with like 500.
Melvin Gordon, not a Hall of Famer. He can't catch the ball, right? Did a little bit in Denver, did a little bit of Chargers, but not
and all these guys had like short spurts.
Then you've got Dalvin, Mixon, CMC. That's your top 7 rushers of the past decade of current active players. So he's in the top 7 in rushing.
Just rushing, yeah.
Scrimmage yards. Derrick Henry, number 1. Right?
On the strength of rushing.
Yeah.
CMC, then AK.
Yeah.
All of them right around 10,000 within 700 yards of each other.
Yeah.
That's over the last decade. Okay? So over the past 10 years, top 3 in scrimmage yards, Alvin Kamara. Over the past decade. He's currently 90th all-time in TDs. Not impressive, but...
If he gets to 100.
Considering... How many of those are? You mean 90th?
Well, no.
90th all time
for running backs or the NFL
overall? Including receivers, including Jerry Rice.
That's not unimpressive.
Here's the deal: if he gets to 100,
100, you're in. The only player to ever score 100 TDs that's not in the Hall of Fame. Do you know? This is a very interesting one to me.
That could have been.
That still could be, but has scored 100 touchdowns and is not currently in the Hall of Fame, or an absolute shoe-in like Adrian Peterson, because he's not in the Hall of Fame, but he's in the Hall of Fame.
What position?
Running back.
Yeah, it's a little obscure, but I feel like you might know it. Who do you think? It's a tough one.
Is it
He doesn't know. Who is
it? Deuce?
No,
He
Jesus
doesn't have 100.
Christ.
He's got about 60, 50, 55.
Yeah.
Time out. They made a big deal during the game yesterday about
he broke his record, yeah.
Alvin Kamara breaking the Saints rushing touchdown record.
That was like half watching at that point.
The only one is not in the Hall of Fame or an absolute shoe-in for the Hall of Fame. Sean Alexander.
Oh, yeah.
119 touchdowns, I believe.
He had a long run.
It wasn't long.
It's not that
That's
long.
the thing.
It just was
about
amazing.
4 years.
Long.
It was 4 years of such dominance. It's crazy if you go look at it. He
Yeah.
scored he averaged over 20 touchdowns over 4 years. It's an insane 4-year stretch, but no longevity. I think he only made 3 Pro Bowls, 1 All-Pro. He doesn't have all the other markers on the board, even to Alvin's. Alvin's got him beat on all that. So I think he's a Hall of Famer. If he hangs on for 2 more years and gets to, say, 12,000 total yards, and the 100 touchdowns to me is a shoe-in unless you have a really weird career like Sean Alexander to have 100 touchdowns and no postseason success whatsoever. That's a really weird situation. It may never happen again where someone scores almost 120 touchdowns and his teams essentially suck. Alvin was on really good teams. He was 4-time Pro Bowl, multiple-time All-Pro. I think he's a Hall of Famer. Trade him immediately. Trade him tomorrow.
It would be amazing if he makes it to the Hall of Fame without ever having a 1,000-yard season. That would just be awesome.
Well, there's one thing to your point about, the question of him being a Hall of Famer is actually, that's a great point. But the more relevant issue is the thing that's common with everyone you just said, good and bad, is that at some point, there's a cliff.
Right. He's there. I believe he's there.
Yeah.
Max doesn't.
He's
I
not
believe
there.
he's there.
He's not there.
There's a point of no return for getting value for him.
I believe if you
I think
put
it's-
him on a Buffalo or a 49ers, could he do it? Yes. Anywhere else, he just doesn't look like a bell cow guy.
Not a Hall of Fame
I
guy.
I disagree with
but
you
it's
on
the
that.
same.
He's-
It's the same route we took with Sproles. When Sproles was just lighting it up for us, we traded him, and we traded him in his prime.
And he lit it up.
And he lit it up for the Eagles. So we gambled that he was at the cliff.
But it was
And-
1 year, and then he got hurt, and it was it.
Yeah.
That was
So
it was 1 year.
That's kind of a
Sproles
little
was
bit-
also older when we got him.
True.
Yeah, but the point is it was gauging. Okay,
No. I know your
Yeah.
point, and I do agree with Nick that we do need to trade him because I'm looking at Kamara's cap figures over the next couple of years. He's on the team next year unless someone throws some kind of value and we trade him. But that following year, he's off the team under this existing contract.
It has to be.
It goes up to
It's a trade.
$29 million cap figure. There's no way in hell you're carrying a 30-year-old running back at $30 million.
We all put him in our top 10 all-time Saints. I think he's firmly in there. I have anyone who wants to argue that, much like Cam, sorry, Corey, he's in the top 10 Saints of all time. He's just a great. We love his personality. We love what he stands for. We love his game. It was so creative. It's if we're going to rebuild, it's time to get rid of him right now. It really is. In the offseason. If we're going to go...
Honestly, it was time last year when there was value.
It
there was
was.
an offer.
We had real value 2 years ago, right? We had a first-round pick offered from Buffalo, rumored.
Yeah.
That probably... And you know what? He would have done better. It would have been great for him. This is no knock on him. He is not the same Alvin from years 1 through 5. It's a little bit slower. He still has the same fight. He still has the matrix moves that we all like to talk about. Those are still there. The speed component is gone, in my opinion. Getting to the edge, he can't get there. We've seen it. We've talked about one extent, a lot on the goal line.
Good blocking. I mean, he needs good edge blocking. We haven't really given
Well,
him that.
here's the deal, though.
year.
Neither one of us liked the contract when we gave it to him.
It was too much.
And we're both in agreement that the move with running backs is when it comes time to pay the running back, that is when you trade them and get the maximum value because they will fall off a cliff at some point.
They all do.
They all do.
Yeah.
Once they're 28 years old, you don't want to pay that $15 million a year. You've got to move on. Derrick Henry being the one exception. That's a freak of nature. Yeah, exactly. That's an absolute freak.
The gamble with him is that you just don't get rid of him. You just whenever the cliff comes, you just take it and eat it.
Well, they're ready for the cliff because they've got Tajay Spears, who we could have picked, but we took Kendra Miller.
But how many
because
years,
of injuries, right? Because
how many years can we watch Saquon Barkley look like some elite all-timer and then get hurt? It's just a bad position for the NFL right now. Paying him $15 million, I think, is just a bad move.
Yeah, you trade him when it comes time to trade him.
The running back position. Like if we think all the holdouts and all that stuff earlier in the year is bad, like it's going to get a whole lot worse before it gets better.
Look what happened to Chubb. We all love Chubb. Chubb's an exceptional, one of the most underrated players in NFL history.
Yeah.
The guy is top 5 all time in yards per carry, just a dominant force, and then he takes this knee injury. And now you don't even know what you have. And you've got, let's say you had a deal like Kamara, and this was year 2 of that deal, and you're in for 4 for 60.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Hey, he's on my dynasty bench, IR right now.
Well, it's kind of funny, though, because McCaffrey, he had a little stretch for a couple of years where he kept getting hurt.
Yeah.
But
didn't
nothing
finish
major.
season. Well, I mean, nothing major, but he was missing time.
His leg never went backwards.
Nothing happened. What happened to Chubb is what I'm saying.
Right, but my point is, McCaffrey had a couple of down years with that contract, and you're like, oh my God, that looks like a bad contract. Yeah. And then they trade him, and now that contract looks like a bargain the way he's playing.
Sort of. It works because you have Purdy, right?
Right, but it works is my point.
If you still have Garoppolo at 25.
There's guys that elevate their play to where whatever you're paying them is worth it.
Yeah,
and he's at that
exactly.
place right now.
He is that guy. He is
Yeah.
that guy.
Yeah.
He is a perfect.
He's the offensive player of the year. He should be up for MVP. He is the best offensive player in the league.
No
right
one is running away with the quarterback play this year to where you say like, oh, it's just another year where a quarterback's going to win MVP.
You remember Atlanta Super Bowl year with Freeman and what was the other guy's name?
Tevin Coleman.
Tevin Coleman. CMC
you mean
is
the year they gave up a 25-point lead in the Super Bowl.
That's what we're all about. So that's why I wanted to bring it up. But that running back duo is what got him to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And CMC is them together.
Yeah.
He does what they both did.
Well, hey, look who the head coach of the 49ers is because he was the offensive coordinator for that team. So.
And to be fair, he lost them that Super Bowl. So we'll see if he can lose them another one. He lost the one against the Chiefs, too, if you ask me.
He had
that game won.
There are a line of coaches and players, mostly quarterbacks, where it's like...
If Jimmy makes that pass that he missed...
They have like a disease from getting the championship, where it's like they're so good up until like that
I love Kyle Shanahan's offense. It's like the best thing to watch in football right now.
It really is.
He does choke.
Throughout sports, there's always a team in any sport, any level of sport, where it's like they're so good until that moment of truth, and they just never. I think
he's going to get it this year.
The Oklahoma City Thunder with Westbrook, Harden, and Durant is a good example.
Or like the Bills. With the Cowboys, it's like
the Bills were just cursed.
Yeah,
but
that's what I mean. Like it's just like there's some that just defy logic. It's like there's no way Shanahan, if he gets there, shouldn't beat anyone in the AFC
this year. Shanahan has to win it.
Right.
They're roster
so much better.
Is so much better.
Right.
The Bills were the only thing comparable, and then they lost half their team.
So,
Milano got injured. Trey White got injured again. So many injuries.
It's his year to prove he's not championship afflicted.
Correct.
That he's not
and
averse.
If he doesn't win it this year, Shanahan's the problem. Because he's got it cooking, and they are so much better.
Yeah.
If they lose this year, it's on him, in my opinion, barring injury. If they're injured, all bets are off.
Because that's the worst. It's like, what do you do with a coach who gets you to the conference championship every single year, but just won't get you the big one?
Yeah, exactly.
We're having tons of fun, but
well, we went off on a
back to the Panthers.
Yeah,
it's like
we hopped off the interstate and we went like about 200 miles down south. So
it's like when you drive an I-65 and you got nothing but trees and you're just like,
Well, look, no, this brings up a good point. I think what we need to do is we need to have a separate episode where we can just riff on stuff like this and just go.
That's
no real topic. We'll just roll with it. But I do think that we need to get to the predictions for the game against the Panthers right now. For those listening, just a reminder, this is a Panthers preview.
Yeah, if you're still
episode,
with us.
if you're still here. So we'll go ahead and dive into the predictions. Corey, why don't you go ahead and kick us off? Nick, you do the logging this time.
Oh, shit.
Corey, what you got? How do you feel?
I'm logging with the Saints pencil, just FYI.
Yeah.
Well, that just changed my pick.
I think it's a win, not because the Saints necessarily do so much to win the game. I just think that the Panthers are going to do more to lose the game for themselves. I'm going to go with the last one was 20-17. Let's bump that up a little bit and go 21 Saints to 12 for the Panthers.
Okay.
They're going to do the whole 4 field goal dance.
I like that.
There you go.
And
offensive MVP.
Offensive MVP for the Saints. I'm going to go with I went Kamara last week. He could very well do it again, but I'm gonna go Taysom this time. In terms of stats, you said over 100 total yards. I don't know if he hits that, but maybe more like
he had almost 80. It was a pretty
50,
good game last
over
week.
50 rushing again. Probably about at least 30 receiving, but I think he finds the end zone twice.
80 and 2 teams.
All right, defense.
Real quick, I love the way we're using Taysom. I think it's
it's just great. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Keep going. Sorry.
Defensive MVP in this one. I think this is the DeMario game. I think DeMario wakes up this game.
What you calling? You calling pick? You calling sacks? What you calling?
But last time I picked him, I think I just said a bunch of tackles. We call it
highly scientific with that.
Exactly. Call it at least 8 tackles. Sack.
A sack, okay. I'm not even going to put the tackles because he's going to
get. He's going to have a sack.
Sack.
I don't
think big or just a sack.
Sack. Add another 2 tackles for loss.
Okay, 2 TFLs. I'll give you tackles for loss. I'm not giving you tackles. It's DeMario.
Yep. So yeah.
All right, who's next? You or me, Max?
Yeah, you go for it.
All right. I'm gonna give 2 predictions.
2 predictions.
If Carr plays, we're gonna fucking throttle him.
A hurt Carr is gonna throttle him.
31-16 with Carr with Jameis.
Okay.
We win. 13-12.
There's a lot of people out there. Oh wait. Oh yeah. There's a lot of people out there that would have the exact opposite take
I agree.
as you.
I feel
Carr
like
and their
an overwhelming majority.
Yeah, Carr. They're saying Carr would actually make it a 13-12 loss.
I know that's what they're saying.
There's a lot of idiots out there.
I'm telling you, the last 2 weeks, what I saw with him and Olave has changed my mind on that. They can figure it out. The whole season predicated on them being able to figure out with MT in that equation.
I still need to see it for a whole game.
It took forever. I agree.
No, that's a good point.
I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying something was happening that hasn't happened.
Yeah.
And him and Carr did not jive at all. And all of a sudden, shit started working the last 2 weeks. And 2 weeks in a row, that's not a whole lot.
It's more Olave than Carr because it started working in the Vikings game in the second half when Carr got hurt.
I just feel when Olave actually runs his routes and finishes them, Carr's finding him.
I'm on both.
When Olave's not stopping, Carr's finding him. I just believe
there's been plenty of examples where Carr's choosing not to throw to an open receiver. Olave included in that number. So it takes 2 to tango.
We're going to call it he doesn't have the ability to see the whole field.
But did he lose an eye or something? I mean,
no. It's what
is not having the ability to see the whole field?
He might
what does
just
that,
be
what does that mean?
QB.
Jesus Christ. So $140 million.
That is not an NFL QB then.
Not elite.
Like that, then that's on him. If he's a 2-read QB, that's still on him.
There's a whole lot of NFL QBs that aren't getting to their 3rd read, dude. A whole lot of them. A whole lot right now. It's bad. It's bad.
How do you know that?
What?
How can you know that?
Are you watching games?
All right, hold on.
You can't know that though. I mean,
before we take another trip down south, let's get these predictions in. What else you got?
I'm going to say there aren't 10 good quarterbacks going right now.
That's a better statement.
That's a better statement. Okay. We'll go with that.
Which means good quarterbacks can do all of it. There aren't that many that can do all of it right now. Just aren't. It's a bad situation. Offensive MVP, if Carr's in, Olave goes for 100 again. If Jameis is in there.
So Olave again.
AK.
You got that shit backwards, dude.
I don't care.
He doesn't throw to AK.
All he does is throw to the safeties.
That's all he
does. He throws to safeties.
That was the criticism last year, is that he didn't.
If Jameis plays,
he kept passing up AK.
Not Carr. Olave is going to eat because he's going to do nothing but throw YOLO balls when he doesn't have to.
Right,
dude. I hope not.
It's going to happen. It's Jameis, dude. That's all he does.
But let me just say this: I hope Carmichael just gives it to AK 30 times for 60 yards for a win.
Man, how many drinks have you had? You think he's going to use Kamara? That motherfucker couldn't throw it to him one time last year or the year before.
Jameis is not going to throw it to Kamara. I'm fully aware of that. I'm saying we're going to run.
So you think Jameis isn't going to throw?
You said if it's
the fuck of the ball.
Okay, so OMVP not from. Okay, all right,
right. I think Carr and Olave keep connecting if Carr plays. That's what I'm saying. If Jameis plays, I hope our game plan is Taysom and AK instead of Jameis. And I'm going to say AK gets a TD.
You're giving Carmichael a lot of credit on that one.
80 yards. Well, I mean, maybe, but whatever. Defensive, I'm going to go with Granderson. 2 sacks.
I almost picked Granderson.
Completely coming back on the season after a 6-7 week hiatus.
Sets up
2
for him.
sacks. Either way, no matter who starts at quarterback.
It's a good matchup.
All right, Max, you're up.
All right, I'm going back and forth on this. I'm sticking to my guns. I said
You said
I'm not picking them to win for the rest of the year.
you did say that.
The fucking Panthers are going to win this game.
Yes.
It's entirely possible.
Bryce Young is going to look. Jameis is more than likely playing. I have no faith. I have very little faith in Derek Carr. I have almost no faith in Jameis.
It's like I say, if we continue the model, even if we have full strength, we're just as likely to lose to a bad team as we are to beat
Jameis fans out
a
there.
good team.
Max was once Jameis's biggest fan.
Yeah.
And he has completely abandoned him.
I have.
Take notes.
I am out on Jameis.
I'll
I
just-
told y'all at the beginning, before the season started, I explicitly stated, I went on a rant about this.
You came around. I agree.
Keeping Jameis on the team was the biggest fucking mistake we could possibly make.
It's fine. You know what? If Carr wasn't going to be like confident against Jameis, then we had nothing.
I'll say this real quick before you jump in. Put it this way.
We have nothing with
for
Carr.
anybody
That's true.
that's still listening.
He failed.
We don't have a quarterback good enough to be in on. Okay?
Exactly.
Everyone's like, I'm out on Jameis. I'm out
I'm
on
out
Carr.
on the entire QB room.
I don't care who you're out on because that's the only option you kind of have.
Yeah.
All right? Like, you have to be out on one of them because
I
we don't
can
have
agree
one
with
good
that.
enough to be in on right
I
now.
can agree
Now,
with
time
that.
out. Let me finish my hot take.
Anyway, but finish the thing. Let's let Matt-
Panthers 20, Saints 17. We're going to flip.
Same score.
We're going to flip what happened in the first game.
Are you
That's why-
calling a groupie miss, though? That's the move.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that is the
there
move.
was
That is
going to
the
be a groupie miss.
Chance to tie at the end.
Yeah, but then we'll get the ball back and have a chance, and then Jameis is going to
INT.
chuck an he's going to an INT.
Straight to somebody.
Offensive MVP. I'm going Kamara. Kamara did not play in the first game because he was suspended.
That's
Punching
right.
people.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Kamara has over 100 total yards,
Whoa, all right. Again. All right.
and I think Kamara
Does he
has.
score?
What did I say? I said we were going to have 17
17
points. Kamara's going to have one touchdown. Olave is going to have the other one, but Kamara's going to have more yardage, so I'm going to go with Kamara as the MVP, the offensive MVP. I do think Olave does have a long touchdown. Jameis is going to be a beautiful. It'll probably be like a Hail Mary to end the first half.
It'll be a deflection off of a defensive back's helmet.
Yes, very very well stated. It's going to be a deflection off the defensive back's helmet. Defensive MVP. I am going to go with. Oh man, this one's tough. You know what? We're going to throw a curveball here.
Go Howden. Just make me happy.
No,
It can.
I am going to say Isaac Yadam.
He looked bad last week, too.
I know, but here's why. Because Debo is acting in the number one cornerback role right now.
Doing
He's
it,
in
too. He did it this week.
He's doing it.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to continue to do well, so Bryce is going to avoid him.
What's he do? He gets a pick?
I think Yadam gets a pick.
Bryce ain't precise enough to.
I like that.
He could have good passes, but he's wild
Now,
enough.
I do think Bryce is going to cook in this game. He's going to have his best game of the season.
All right, tell me what that is, because that's insanity. Tell me what Cook means. Bryce has what? I'm writing that down too. We're going to bring this
200
up.
passing yards.
We're bringing this
No,
up.
no,
That's
no,
not cooking.
that's
You
not
can't
cooking.
do that.
For
That's
him?
not cooking. That's
What's
not
he do
cooking.
to us? Bryce cooks. I'm writing it down.
I'm going to say 275.
Jesus.
Good Lord.
275, 3 touchdowns. No, 3 touchdowns and a missed extra point to give it to
Who's
20.
catching the
Go on,
ball
3 TDs.
for that much on their team?
That's the wildest take of the season.
I know. Hey, we're getting wild. It's towards
that
the
time.
end.
Yeah, 'tis the season.
Max has given up. That's where we're at. Saint has given up on the Saints, guys. He thinks Bryce Young is going to cook us.
Bryce Young is going to cook us.
Well, Dar St. Max will never give up, but it's at the point where they're making him crazy.
I'm a man of my word. I said I will not
3
pick this fucking team again
What's he got, 9 all year?
if they lose to the Falcons.
What's he got, 9?
Well,
10? What's he got?
that would be a very Saintsy thing to happen.
I did say this is his breakout game. This is going to be.
All right.
This is going to be
Who's
Bryce.
the guy at the
I
Falcons?
love the call. That's a great call.
This is going to be Bryce coming out and saying, you know what, C.J. Stroud's been getting all the hype,
As he should.
as he should, but he's going to say, you know what, I was the first pick. I'm going to show a little bit of a glimpse into what they possibly have with me.
Okay.
I think Jonathan Mingo, that wide receiver from Ole Miss they got in the second round, he's going to pop up. And
That
have
was a good pick. That
was
guy's
a
going
really
to be
good
good. We said that
Yeah.
I don't know if it was on here or separate, but that was a good pick.
That was a really good pick. Now let me say this about the Panthers. They're playing, they're fighting because they have nothing to fucking tank for.
The interim coach complex.
Well, here's the that
they don't get a pick.
They don't get a pick. They don't get a pick. They have no reason to go half-ass.
Which makes their last few losses even more impressive.
It makes it sadder. It makes it way sadder.
Like they're trying. And look, they've been
Carolina fans, we're super sorry.
They're not going to get shit for all that.
Hey, they've been in the last couple of games. They had a chance, not this past week, the week before.
But Max, imagine being 1-10 and realizing you don't have a first round.
I know, that would be awful.
That is the
terrible.
worst situation in history. We talked about it before.
Well, it was almost bad. Look, last year we had the 10th pick and we didn't have it. That sucked.
You know what's funny is like Chicago did it for Trubisky and then was like, let's do the opposite. And then they did it to him.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy.
Yeah.
They're like, that didn't work.
They were
Let's do the exact opposite.
They were about to get Caleb Williams and like Marvin Harrison or something out of it, depending on where they finish.
Do you think they take Caleb? I don't think they do.
I think they take him. Why? You're going to pay Justin Fields? You're about to have to pay him.
No, I hate Justin Fields.
Right, so they don't pay him.
I don't hate him. I wish him nothing but the best.
I like Justin Fields. I think
he's not going to be a great quarterback.
Agree.
He's a niche quarterback. With that said, I don't think they take Caleb one. But you never know.
This is that point where you either have to shit or get off the pot with Fields.
Who else is in that top five other than Marvin and the two quarterbacks? Who else is there?
The offensive lineman from Penn State.
That's who they take.
Well, that's who they can take with the other pick.
But they can take Marvin and him, but with the two picks.
Then you're fully committed to Fields at that point. Now, keep in mind, that GM did not draft Fields. That's the other thing you got to remember.
Fully? I mean, they're going to suck next year. They might be right back to get a quarterback next year. I mean, their offensive line is terrible. We know that.
It is.
Their receiving group with DJ Moore with Marvin Harrison becomes elite. Those two might be the best two together in the league. Who's better?
I'm just telling you, man. You gotta.
Who you got? Waddle and Hill. Who's better than DJ and
But
Marvin?
the point is, if you do that, you're rolling with Fields
for at least a year. If it's a catastrophe next year, then you regroup and go good.
I don't think they'll get back into the top five with those two receivers.
What I'm saying is you have to be dead sold on Caleb. I'm not. And I think Max has kind of pivoted back a little bit.
Caleb's a project.
Caleb is not an NFL-style quarterback. He's a very off-schedule quarterback. So you have an off-schedule quarterback. Do you draft an off-schedule quarterback?
Here's the deal. Too many people are copying Caleb to Patrick Mahomes. He's not Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes is a fucking unicorn. We haven't seen anything like it. We probably won't see anything like it for years. So he's not Pat Mahomes. He is damn good. There are a few things that give me pause on saying he's a slam dunk.
Ego being one. Mahomes does not have that at all.
Well, ego, but also like release time. I mean, he doesn't.
Well, he holds on to the ball.
He doesn't throw the ball.
That's what I kept saying to Max all season. Like, go watch. He does not get the ball.
He's not a decision maker. You have to be a decision maker in the NFL.
Well, he plays schoolyard football.
Right, and that does not work in the league.
That's what Justin Fields is.
And I don't think it can be taught, quite honestly. I mean, if you haven't been at a point where it's routine and instinctual for you to like make a call after 2 seconds, then I don't see how you learn that. To be honest,
I don't think he can't do it. He just likes to run around. He's trying to hit the big play all the time.
You don't get that luxury.
He needs a coach like Sean Payton.
He doesn't see it.
He needs someone like that.
He's got an offensive coach. He doesn't see it.
No. In the NFL, he needs someone. Lincoln Riley's just letting him go out there and play. In the NFL, he needs someone who's going to get there and hold him to task and say, "You're going to fucking learn how to do this."
All I'm saying is this: you take Caleb number one. That is a massive risk.
Yep.
Especially with Fields on your roster, because
this would be predicated on them trading Fields.
And what do you get for Fields? What do you think you get for Fields if they do that?
God, it depends on how he finishes the season. I think right now.
What team that
Falcons?
thinks? Yeah, but like a team like that. What team do
hometown team?
What team do you think gives up that first round pick?
I don't even think you need a first. You could probably get him for a second and a third, maybe.
I don't know. That's a tough one.
It's a tough one, but look, and we're gonna have time to debate it in the offseason. And we're going to have some fun with this offseason.
I just can't. The point of that whole conversation.
I hope it is.
It's a great episode. The only point is what happened to the Panthers' strategy and how you can fuck up the rebuild process. If Bryce does not progress, this is a poster case scenario of how to screw it up. right?
Yeah.
You've mortgaged multiple years of draft. You don't have a franchise quarterback that you thought you were getting. Your roster has suffered because you traded a Pro Bowl receiver. It's
Out of
for all
the
the Saints fans, this is what it looks like when you mess it up.
this is what could go wrong.
And look, that is a great point.
The Panthers are cautionary tale for every team, especially including us. Once you decide to pull the ripcord on your coach, I mean, it's all
No,
up in
time
the air.
out.
There's no guarantees.
The Texans will also show you the opposite side.
Sure.
That when you fire your coach,
Oh no, there's not success.
and you get the second pick, and you get C.J. Stroud.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden you're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Year
Well,
one.
they
Yeah,
got
they're-
2 top 5 picks. It helped that the Deshaun
They
Watson
traded-
trade was a home run. Another precautionary tale
Yeah.
that we dodged, everybody.
Yeah.
We think Derek Carr's bad. Imagine having the Deshaun Watson contract right now.
And
That's way worse.
The Texans waded through the wilderness for a long time before they got to the position
They
they're
have
in.
sucked forever.
And it's just there's no guarantee of success just because you get rid of the guy who's bad. Doesn't mean there's. That's
Well, you
where-
have to take your swings.
We got to fire him. We have to, but
Correct.
but
But-
it's also a point where it's like Loomis has, besides Sean Payton, he has not done a head coaching search worth a shit ever.
He hadn't had to. He
the
got
DA
lucky.
thing. So it's like, hold
Correct.
on to your shit because this is when things get.
Here's one for you, Corey.
Unknown.
This is one I brought up to Max, but I want to bring up to you. We talk about going to chase that quarterback in the draft. Tell me the team that has chased the quarterback, not sat still, where it's worked out in the last 10 years, where you gave up draft capital, big draft capital, you went up, you got your guy. Where's it worked? Name
Well,
one.
it's not big draft capital, but the Chiefs, they went up and got Mahomes. But
They-
it's not.
they
it's
gave
not,
up nothing.
It's
They gave
not,
up nothing.
But
They-
they still went up from the 20s, and they went up to what? Pick 10.
Well, 10.
10.
10.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
no, look, it was a trade up. It doesn't fall under the let's give up 3 first-round
Right.
picks.
It's
but,
not what we're talking about.
But it is a team that went into the top 10 to go get a quarterback.
Yeah, it's hard.
And it worked out.
It's hard.
It
to,
went
worked
to
out better
10th.
than anything
They went
ever.
to 10th. We're not talking
well, the
top.
chase usually involves giving up so many like.
Well, no, a chase could be just moving up 15 spots, which is roughly what
I
they
think
did.
what you're referring to is like
He's referring to
giving
the-
up multiple
Yeah.
valuable assets like that. Usually, that rarely pans out.
For better or worse, Pat was not considered the top quarterback in that draft, or top 3, or he was third, fourth. What was he? Third quarterback picked in that draft.
Baker was
right?
first in that draft, right?
Baker, Trubisky, was
No.
he third? Or Josh Allen? No, not Josh Allen.
No, that's a
That was
different draft.
Mahomes was the Kamara year, 2017. What? And the
Baker's
Lattimore
18.
year. What was 17? Trubisky,
Trubisky.
and who else? There was somebody else.
Trubisky was the only one that went ahead of him.
Who was number 1 that year?
No, you're right. Fuck.
I feel like somebody was number 1.
Could the Bears? Yeah.
It was Baker.
No, Baker's Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen.
Rosen was 10th. Darnold was 3rd.
Yeah, Baker was 1, and Lamar was 32nd.
Yeah, that was.
That's a different year.
That's a different.
That's the Marcus Davenport year. All those quarterbacks you just mentioned.
Lamar was Davenport. Lamar was Mahomes'
Davenport.
year.
No, Lamar was Davenport because we
Okay.
traded
You're
up,
right.
and
You're right.
everybody
You're right.
thought we were going for Lamar.
You're right. Who was it? There's one more. I feel like Josh Allen.
Josh Allen was the
18. He was no.
shit. Who was
Kyler was 18, right, or 19? Was he 19?
Kyler? Was the year after Rosen and Baker. So was it Kyler and Trubisky?
What draft is this? 17. This is 2017 draft. This is Alvin Kamara draft for sure. Marshawn Lattimore, right?
Yeah.
What was the question that got us here?
We're trying to figure out who the other quarterback
quarterback
was
was
when
picked ahead
Trubisky
of
went second.
I don't know.
I feel like Trubisky.
Somebody
you're right.
listening to this right now
Mahomes
is,
was
like,
second quarterback.
screaming
Yeah,
it.
Mahomes was second quarterback.
Trubisky went second, and that's another cautionary
first?
tale. Garrett, and
Good pick.
that's fair. Good pick. Trubisky is another cautionary tale of trading capital to get there. Chicago messed up, and they went the reverse, and it's going to change their team. You watch.
Well, time out though. Let's be fair. It's 2 different GMs.
Deshaun was 2 picks after Mahomes.
The thing is, you
Time out though. It's 2 different GMs. The first one that picked Trubisky was former Saints
Pace.
golden child
Ryan
Ryan
Pace.
Pace,
Yeah.
who every local media person told us is the next great GM for another team. We need to keep him in the building.
False.
He was fucking terrible.
Yeah.
He is the one who drafted Mitch Trubisky, who didn't do shit in college.
Yeah.
I love the ACC. You guys know this. I watched the ACC. He didn't do a fucking thing. So the new GM for Chicago, I think his name's Ryan Poles, he is the one who has orchestrated this fantastic turnaround from last offseason onward. So
yeah, I mean,
that was a crazy
cautionary
draft
tales
there.
about teams doing what they did to get Bryce Young, who were playing this week, and
yeah. So again, it's too soon to write the book on Bryce Young.
Yeah.
You know,
So-
that
for
team,
sure.
that team
And
sucks.
I'm not writing
but
him
all we
off.
know is that you're calling it to be his breakout game.
I am calling
This
it
week.
because I am
Also-
sticking to my guns. I will stay with what I said a week ago.
Everyone rooting for us to fail, be careful. It doesn't always work out failing.
No,
It doesn't.
there's no reason to
So-
root for your team.
Root
exactly.
for us to win. If we don't win, let's hope we pick the right
And
pick
look,
and we
I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the episode with this. I am not, just because I picked the Panthers to win, I am not rooting for the
Right.
Saints to lose. I don't think we have what it takes to fucking win the game we're supposed to win at home.
Yeah.
Especially if Jameis is playing. So, but with that one went a little bit longer than expected.
in a good way.
Yeah, you got a lot of detailed information on draft strategy and Alvin Kamara Hall of Fame, all that stuff. So we'll do a few more episodes like this, where we can just kind of go off and just riff on different topics. But we'll save that for the off season. So other than that, let's see what happens this weekend. Who dat?
Boom.